This video is sponsored by Epic Games. If everything went right, you should have just seen a pretty cool looking game. But the funny thing is, I don't know right now yet what that game is because I still have to make it. I'm recording this out of order basically. But what I do know is that in the past few years it's become easier than ever to make cool looking prototypes and even full-on games, even when you're not a talented artist, programmer, sound designer, whatever, narrative writer, because I am none of them. But I'm going to be making a game in today's video by relying a lot on assets, and I want to dispel the myth that you cannot make a game purely based on assets. I think game design is always going to be the most important thing, and the assets can just help you in making games way quicker and not having to spend time on doing stuff that you're not good at or you don't want to do. So that's why when Fab reached out for this video, it just seemed like the perfect combination, as Fab hosts not just only Unreal Engine assets, but also assets for example, Unity or any other format there is really. Now, for this video, we'll be using Unity because that's what I'm most comfortable with, but I think in general, the Fab asset store is something that a lot of developers are sleeping on. We've been using it previously in some of our own games when we, for example, needed a 1980s style printer and we couldn't really find it anywhere else. Fab came through for us in the end. So it's not just for Unreal Engine assets, but I think in general, if you're looking for specific assets, definitely check out Fab, because I think it's going to allow you to find some more like specific or niche down assets for your game so that you don't have to end up using the same 3 asset packs that everyone else is using basically. So I think we're going to just jump into the Fab store right now, and we're going to start by looking at what game are we going to be making based on basically the building blocks that we have. So I'm here on the Fab main asset store page, and here on the side we can see what are the different channels that they support. For example, they have Unity and Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine, of course, right now still has a lot more assets, but that is something that you can change as well, because it is actually very easy to list your own assets on the Fab asset store. Don't believe me that it's easy? Well, we actually have our own asset here from back when we made Songs of Everjade. This is Bite Me Games, where we uploaded a Unity only asset to the Fab asset store. This has been, almost a year ago at this point. It's been very nice for us. So if you are making assets yourself, don't sleep on Fab. I think it's a good way to make extra revenue as well, instead of only relying on the Unity asset store or itch.io, for example. So anyways, for this game, I want to start with the Unity tag, of course. And as you can see, the UI is pretty fast and snappy. I like it in general, the Fab asset store, because it is more modern, I would say. And probably I want to start with the mechanic. So generally when I look at games and like get game ideas, I start with the environment. I kind of want to flip it around now because I don't want to write any code myself, or not really any intensive code myself. So here we're going to be relying on game systems and templates, and I'm just going to be taking a look at what I like. And on first impression, it seems like there's 4 different FPS frameworks. I'm not sure if I want to make a first-person shooter game, like what I could make small scope by that, but it's something interesting. Like if you want to make a shooter game, it seems to be easy. I think also that the Fab asset store has a lot of, more of the high poly assets that could make sense here. We have some horror templates. We have first-person controllers, rotorcraft. I don't think we're going to do that. There's a few systems here, basic locomotion, third person. I could maybe do a streamer bait game about that, but overall nothing super. Let's actually look at game templates instead. Maybe we can find more here. I think this is going to be better if we want to make a coin pusher game. Climbing system, this could be interesting for maybe a parkour-like game. How does this work? Ooh, this would be something that I cannot program myself, but for 13 euros right now on discount, this could make sense. Have like some kind of a streamer bait rage game. Let's keep our options open, but definitely this is one that I am looking into. The Survivor engine, maybe not Survivor likes. I'm not going to be building a management game. I don't have the skills for that, maybe even with assets. Trucks and cars. I feel like there's a lot of car stuff. Simple bicycle physics. Okay, so what does this do? Does it support? It's like biking. So, like if I look at this physics-based simulation, I'm already thinking about like a rage game, for example, streamer bait game, where you have to transport cargo and make sure that it's not going to fall over. Okay, they have a lot of fun bikes. Okay, city builder kit, nah. And then a lot of car stuff. Pong, we're not doing Pong. A lot of racing games, racing. Why are there so many racing games? I have no idea. Okay, so looking at this, I feel like we have two main options. We can go for something with the climbing system and then make it like an only up style game perhaps, although I'm not exactly sure what. Or we go with the bicycle physics. Now, oh, they have a lot of bikes. This does look like a pretty good asset. A bunch of bicycles, tricycle. Maybe I have an idea here for an anomaly game with a bicycle. I think this could be an interesting one. There's this game with a trailer that blew up recently, quite a ride. That was like a horror game with a bike. So maybe I want to go and let's do this. Let's add simple bicycle physics. And let's make an FPS horror anomaly game. So I'm imagining it like it's basically an anomaly game like what we did with Kyoto Anomaly, but I think by going on a bike, you can like do more distance in a single loop, and we can maybe do something interesting that way. The next question, of course, is what's going to be the environment? Because I want something spooky. We can't do interiors. Like this is probably a pretty nice looking asset. Apocalyptic hospital, but we're not cycling through this. So we want something that is pretty big and outdoors. World War II war zone. Maybe we could do something like where you're a messenger and you have to survive, but it's not horror. That maybe you can do some scary stuff maybe. No, graveyard. Oh, this maybe is an interesting one. Post-Soviet world. This is very bright right now, but I'm thinking if we can turn this into like kind of like Chernobyl, and you're kind of like trying to escape from the radiation, and it kind of also explains maybe why things are going weird. Maybe we can add like a Geiger counter that goes like tick, 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 tick. Not sure about that, how much we can do. It has some of the buildings. This could be nice. This is my main one right now. Abandoned factory building. This one looks really nice as well. I think this is what I like about Fab, is that there's generally way more of a focus on PBR realistic assets, I would say, because that's what Unreal is also more known for. And it's a style that, especially if you're making horror games, makes a lot of sense. This is a pretty cool environment, but I'm not sure what would be like the actual game here with the bicycle. Abandoned urban districts. This would be like more post-apocalyptic survival, I feel, and less anomaly. But I'm trying to keep it within that 48-hour time limit. And I think you can make anomaly games pretty fast. Ruined crypt, no. Vikings, we're not doing bicycles there. I think I want a good scary vibe, and I think right now the Soviet one is going to be the best one. So let's add this one to cart as well, and then let's head back to Fab. Let's go to Unity once again, and this time I want to go for characters and creatures. Move 4,000. Probably we want to get like something spooky and like horror-y that we want to put in the game. I'm not sure this is all humanoid. Oh, creatures and monsters as a category for it specifically. Biochemical monster. Okay, this seems... I don't know if I like the swords. Otherwise, it does have that Chernobyl vibe, definitely. Like, if you get chased by this, I would bike pretty fast. Spider Queen Demon. I'm not gonna open that for my arachnophobia bros. A mushroom monster. Is this stylized or is this PBR? Ooh, I think this could be a pretty good one as well. Because if we want to go into that like nuclear fallout vibe, it's pretty good pricing as well. Ports Unreal skeletons, Unreal 5 skeletons, and then it says it also supports Unity, so we should be fine there. I don't know if I like the big club, but definitely like this green vibe is pretty cool. Okay, let's bookmark this. Not 100% committed on it yet. I want to get like one main, like, you know, with these anomaly games, you have a bunch of different anomalies, but I kind of want to have like one main evil guy that you can see at like multiple points perhaps, or that like permanently chases you to kind of force you forward so you don't just stay stuck and spend too much time on like one level or like one loop of the anomaly, and instead you have more of that pressure basically. This frog monster mutant is it just looks silly. I don't know if this is really that scary, honestly. Maybe just something simple. Like these. Being chased by a swarm of these could actually be way better. Instead of one monster, you just see like 20 of these behind you. This ugly little critter is extremely aggressive. A large swarm to overwhelm their prey. Okay, I think this can be a good one. And then we can make them move pretty fast, which also is kind of like, why are you on the bike instead of just walking? I think I want to do this. Let's add this one to cart as well. And then let me see. So we have our environment, we have our physics, or like our bicycle and controller, and then we have our main enemy. What else do we have? Probably we want to get some audio. Is there like a good horror audio set? I want mainly ambience, but especially here, it's pretty good deal. We don't need footsteps, most likely. But I think this one maybe has 5 stars, 11 ratings, and then is pretty cheap on sale as well. So probably I'm gonna take this one. So that's the thing, like this is like included format Unreal Engine, but you can also, it's just audio files. You can use this for any engine as well. So there's no need, like, of course it would be better for this developer. Maybe this is something you want to do if you sell assets, to also make a .unity asset store package or another way to deliver this basically, just to make it more easy. But I think it is something that, you know, there is a way bigger amount of assets concentrated in a single store, which I do really like. And I think with that, yeah, we're at the core. Is there like anything, tools and plugins for, is we still in Unity? Like if they have like something fog, do they have like fog? Oh, here, volumetric fog and mist, dynamic fog and mist. This may be a good one because we definitely need some fog evenings. Maybe this is a good one. And then also for Unity, because otherwise it's not going to be scary. Like if we just take this environment, we make it night with like maybe some green glow or something, and then have a very thick, dense fog, plus that ambient audio track, I think we're already on a pretty good way. So I'm gonna go for this one as well, dynamic fog and mist. And I think that should be most of the game then, right? It just comes to vibes. Maybe we'll throw in like another monster later on. But I think I just want to get started with these, throw them in a game, throw them in Unity, and see if we can get some basic vibes, some basic setup, and then I'll keep you updated there. But I think so far, yeah. How long have we been shopping? 10, 15 minutes? And I think I have a pretty good idea of what could be a pretty interesting game. So with that out of the way, I'm now going to enter my credit card details and I'll see you guys in Unity. So now we've purchased it, how do we actually get it into the Unity project? It's very simple. We just go to download here and then we can just download the .unity package, which once we've downloaded it, it's going to take a while because it's 6 gigabytes. We can simply drag and drop into our Unity and everything will be set up as normal. So there's very little impact in using Fab over the Unity Asset Store, for example. So now I'm going to download all of the assets, put them in Unity, and then when I have a very, very basic version, I'm going to probably see you once again. Okay, so we have now imported the like bicycle asset as well as the Soviet environment, and I just did like some very quick things of like adding some lights. You'll see why in a second. And then worked a little bit on the first person camera, and look, first approach, this is semi-rough. But I can like be in my bike. You can see like I need to make it so you don't see the head. I can see my hands, which I do think is pretty cool. And then I can actually bike. My pedals go along this way. Pretty good. One problem I noticed is that the wheel doesn't really align correctly. And then turning feels a little bit weird as well. And then I can, if I hold shift, now I'm like in speed up mode. And it has pretty good oscillation. Also, I don't think you can hear this actually. Let me enable sound. There is bicycle sound effects that you should be able to hear as well, which is included as well. Wow, this is so cursed to just look at my eyeballs. So this is the bicycle. I made it a little prefab, a game bicycle here at the bottom. So now we can actually go, if we just want to get a quick view of how does this look, we go to the assets like demo scene, post-Soviet one. And then this is the default demo scene, which is okay. It is definitely the vibe I want to go for. The lighting feels a bit weird. We just drag in our prefab and then maybe disable the sun because we want this game to take place at night. So it's going to be this directional light. So we just have like a little bit of moonlight basically. Let's put this at 0.5. This is maybe a bit, it looks a bit weird. You get where I want to go for. I think I need to add shadows. And then we play this game again. We should have something that is already like, you know, can you see the vision? Where we have our little bicycle and then we can bike forward and my vision is very obstructed because of my head. Let me see actually if I disable the body. The problem is I also don't have arms now. I do have better visibility. I think this and then the skybox being night and then having some good fog, I think we're already on the right track. This terrain is very rough, so probably I want to smooth physics out for the bicycle as well. I think we can make this work. So far, I have hope on it. There's some issues which you can see with like the white stuff, but there's 3 things I would say that we need to do next. The first thing will be to make a new level, like an actual level that is more of the road, and then like take some of these buildings and put them on the side and add like some forest, some vegetation of that. That should be pretty doable. Second thing that I think we need to do is add like the basic anomaly, like teleportation logic. So like if you choose right, like you get teleported either way, but then like have an indicator of like anomaly or no anomaly basically, and then make sure we can repeat the loop. And the number 3 is going to be adding some fog, some more post-processing, and making this feel more horror-y. Also like get rid of the day skybox and turn it into something dark and nighty. And I think if we have those 3 things, I'm going to check back in on you again, because I think you're going to be pretty impressed then with the result we have then. So far it's been like 20 minutes of development or whatever. It's been going pretty okay. I see the vision. It's still very far away, but I think we can make this work in our time period. Okay, so we're now like a few hours further, and I think we have the vibes nailed down. So what I've did basically is I've made the base setup of my anomaly manager. So basically we have our big placeholder text here that says like, hey, we're 8 loops until we get to the finish line, and then this will count down. For that we have our progression manager here. And then I have 2 connectors, so my start and my end, and we're going to basically seamlessly teleport a player from the end connector back to the start connector. And then this is going to be the actual level where the anomalies will be taking place. It looks pretty empty still, so we're gonna be like getting rid of some of the trees and then placing down buildings and other interesting points of interest and like things for the player to look at. But honestly, I'm starting to like this more and more. Let me quickly show you, because I actually added the fog as well, and I gave it this green glow. And immediately with like the skybox and then also the lighting, and then I'll just show you the game, I think it has the vibes nailed down. So here you can see, okay, we start loop number 8, and I mean, I'm just gonna have to go through this for like a minute or 2. We follow the road. It's not super visible right now because of my lamp as well, but we'll make it more visible later. And then we'll see normally coming up pretty soon. So now we're reaching the connector, so you can see it's a bit different. And then here we can go either up, the terrain is a little bit rough, or we can go down, basically left or right. And then I'm gonna put a big sign here that says like no anomaly or anomaly. In this case, there's no anomaly, so we go down. And then now you may be able to spot it. I don't think you even did. We teleported. And now in the distance, you can see my big glowing 7. So now we're actually back at the start of the level. And here we go. I think I actually went off track a little bit. And this is going to keep going down, obviously. We're going to make this all prettier, but I'm happy with this. And I think, honestly, the vibes are already pretty nice and spooky. Like, there's definitely some issues still, but so far, so good. So let's keep working on this, and I'll keep you guys posted. It is now day number 2. And honestly, guys, I think we've been cooking pretty good. So just to give you a quick rundown of what I've done since yesterday, maybe you can't see it because of the fog. I have almost finished the game. That's of course a big thing to say. We have 3 anomalies right now. We have amazing vibes, and the core loop, like if I wanted to make a game trailer, I think we're good. I recorded, at the start of like, I don't know what the game is going to look yet. I think at this point, I feel very confident that you probably did really enjoy the first 20 seconds of this video when I kind of did like the highlight showcase of the game. Now, there are still a few things that I want to update, like probably this level, like this road area here is a bit too boring and simple. So of course, you know what we got to do then. We're going to head over back to Fab because I want to show something else that I think is really good about Fab. And that is that it's not only Unity or Unreal assets, but it is so much more in terms of everything you can find that's kind of like cross-engine compatible, basically. So in this case, I'm just going to look up roads. And because I'm a cheapskate, I'm only going to ask for free products. I'm kind of just looking for some stuff to put on the side, basically. And I have to be honest, I cheated a little bit in before. I saw things like this, for example, this road barrier, which looks really good. It's very nice. It's very weathered. And the keep out also matches the vibe I want to go for. And what we can see here is that the included formats, it's not a Unity or Unreal, it's just an FBX file or whatever other like extension you need. And this is, like I said, cross-engine compatible. You can use this in Unity. I'm just gonna download this basically and then throw it in Unity, and we're gonna see how it looks then. But I think this is a really nice thing as well, because there is a certain level of like, you know, extra work needed to make it a full-on Unity or Unreal asset. But a lot of people, they just make like sample projects of like trying to improve their 3D modeling and just throw the FBX file on here. And I think this is a great way if you're looking for like more specific random assets to find more. I've done this for our previous games as well, when we needed for like printers, for example. You're not going to find a Unity asset specifically that has like laserjet printers, but you will find often FBX files and all of these other ones. So this one maybe, yeah, supports Unity, but most of these are more of the traditional 3D modeling files, and you can use them as well. So I think it's really cool as well if you're like trying to learn more about 3D modeling and you don't want to hard commit to creating like an entire asset pack. This can be a very good, somewhat low effort way still to get your assets out there already, to show them to other people, to make them go into other people's games and kind of build up towards maybe at some point you want to make a bigger asset pack. I think the freedom you have by just uploading FBX files and also supporting those kinds of formats or any other format basically is very powerful. So I've just downloaded it. I'm now going to throw it in Unity and let's see how it looks then. Okay, so one thing we do have to do in this case is still assign the materials, but that shouldn't take too much time. And that's it basically. This took me less than 5 minutes, I would say, to find a new asset. And maybe sometimes, you know, you have to change the scale a little bit to make it make sense for your project. But I think we can make like a pretty cool area, for example, going that way, that, you know, we can kind of have this keep out to increase the vibes. And there's plenty of other assets that I saw here. Like, for example, if I want like one of these old road signs, I can get these very quickly as well. The object files, I may need to convert these, but still there is just suddenly like a 5x in total assets. And especially for those small individual props, I think it's a really great solution. I've used a lot of these like smaller props myself. This is a very cute one as well, or like a cool one, I guess, the police road closed. Maybe we can use this as well. Once again, GLTF, GLB, or USDZ, we can simply convert them to FBX as well in case we're using Unity, throw them in here, and once again, we're very good. So honestly, we're nearing the like final stretches of this game, or like this vibes prototype basically. I'm gonna do a little bit of the level, and also I just realized I never showed you our little creepy crawlies. If you don't like scary creepy stuff that has 8, it's not a spider but it has 8 legs, then just close your eyes for like a tiny bit. But I do want to show you the monster that we had. I have basically made an anomaly that spawns an entire swarm of these, and it's perfect. I added some sound effects to it as well. I'll probably like overlay them now, or like add a little video clip of them chasing you. I think it was a really good choice, and it really fits the vibe as well, because remember, there's no fog right now. If we suddenly add the fog and then you see it like here, it's a very big difference. Anyway, for people who close their eyes, there's no more creepy stuff on the screen now. I'm just gonna wrap this up, I think, honestly, today. I think I'm gonna spend like a few more hours on this just to get the level a bit better, and then maybe the bike mechanics, but I'm pretty confident at this point that I'm gonna be uploading like this build to itch.io as well. It's kind of rough still, you know, like I don't think I'm gonna bother with actually closing off the world, so you can just still go into the void. But right now my goal is to get something that looks really good, and for a trailer in a controlled environment, there is basically no problem here anymore. Maybe I'm gonna think of like a few extra anomalies, like I have one that makes your lights flicker, and I think then we're almost at the final build of like the point that I wanted to reach. And also I'll see you probably in like 5 seconds again when the game is near complete in my eyes. So see you then. All right, and welcome to the final check-in. Honestly, it's 12:30 right now, like just after lunchtime. I'm really impressed with the result we got. As you can see, I threw together a very simple user interface, but I think the game is done for everything that it needs to be done for this time period, for what I wanted to when I set out originally with game development. So I just want to show you, I have this little main menu that I created. It's very simple, and then we go into the actual game. I think right now you guys won't be hearing audio because otherwise it's gonna sound a bit weird. But yeah, it's honestly amazing what you can do with just a few assets and then like 2 days of work to get like an actual decent looking prototype out there. Now of course there is still a long gap that you need between going from a prototype into an actual game. That takes like a long time as well. But these kinds of assets, they allow you to, well, iterate so much faster, because if I had to make all of these assets myself, it just wouldn't be possible. Even things like this bicycle controller, I had to end up doing a little bit of code tweaks, but I would say 90% of all of the code is already written. Like simple things like, for example, if I sprint, like, you know, there's this view bobbing, basically, I love it. I didn't have to do anything for that. And if you think about the amount of time you can save just by buying an asset, it's honestly an amazing deal. And it's something that I always tell you as well, of like, don't be scared of using assets. If I make a post about like this game on like a subreddit or on XD Everything app, for example, nobody will come yelling at me of like, oh, this is an asset flip. You can't tell. It's all about how do you combine these things together. I think it's kind of like chess. Okay, this may be weird, but you know, once you have like 5 steps or something in chess, you get like 10 million possible variations of the game already. And I think it's a similar thing when using asset packs. Sure, if you use only one single asset pack, it's gonna be pretty recognizable. But if you add that with, for example, the volumetric fog and then our bicycle, we now have 3 like assets that we combine, and we already have a near unique combination that probably there aren't many games out there that look like this and that could give other people the feeling of like, hey, this is an asset flip. So I hope that this prototype gave you a bit more of an idea of like, hey, actually using assets is all right. And I just want to give once again a big shout out to fab.com for sponsoring this video. They make it possible for developers like you and me, whether it's for Unreal, Unity, or any other engine, to make these games faster and more efficiently. And of course, even if you're not a game developer, but more just a game artist, I think it can be also a really good platform to upload your assets to as well, so other people can use your assets in their own games as well. So there's a link down below that leads to Fab if you want to get started with it yourself. And also there will be a link to the prototype basically that I made for this game. So you can see like, hey, it's not just smoke and mirrors. There is an actual playable game here that you can try it for yourself. Now, of course, it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges, but I think it can still give you a bit more of an idea of what are these vibes and what is something that you can reasonably create in a very short time period using assets. So once again, big shout out to Fab for sponsoring this video. And I hope you learned something new and interesting as well, how you don't need to be a cracked artist or a cracked programmer to make these styles of games, because trust me, I am neither of those. And I just want to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making this prototype at least. And if you're interested in more game development related content as well, whether it's updates on the games that we make or the things that we learn along the way making our own games, then be sure to head down below and subscribe as well, because you'll be notified whenever we upload these videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!